Betsy, you there?
Hi, how
I'm
are you?
good. How are you? Happy, healthy
Good.
you.
Happy, healthy New Year. I wanted to see you next week, but I will see you when an opportunity arises.
Exactly. Thanks for the attend. Um, but everybody's well.
Thank
All
you.
good.
Thank goodness. Yes, everyone was okay.
Little out
Um,
there today.
it's actually I was walking around
Really?
Eglinton and it's nice. Like I think
You're brave.
it's it's a little slippery. That's true. I had one lovely client. I'm actually going to go to her home because it's like, certain people you go to their home, of course. And because most people like to do things online, but some people want to see it in front of them. And she was so kind as to say, "Okay, it's slippery in this location and that, and as you enter, be so nice." Most people like just they don't. I don't know because that affects you, right? You're going in, out, every up, down, everywhere.
Exactly. And sometimes you just don't want to
Oh my
fall.
goodness, please no. And also, you just had a recent sale, right? It was like super fast, gone, gone. What happened there?
We Yeah, we did. Right before, at the end of November. Yes, what we did was the people said they were going to try to achieve a certain price.
Hmm.
He said the way to do it,
Hmm.
because of the lack of product and two sales that had just occurred not far, we did underprice it a bit, but we left it at a number that if it didn't
Hmm.
work, they okay, it would have been okay, I think. If
Okay.
we sell it for the list price, but luckily it worked in their favor, and actually they went and they bought a condo, and Sam sold them condo, and it closes today.
Oh, congrats to them. That
Pretty
is wonderful.
excited.
Oh,
There's
I noticed Brett is on here. Brett has I don't know if he still has that condo, but there was one I wanted, but they're like cash flow negative, but so profitable. I don't, okay, we have to hold back on this, Cheryl, because it's a key moment this month. And I know everyone, we're going at our steady pace. Nothing is frenetic.
right.
Besides that one listing that had 30 offers in the paper 2 days ago, of course, right? But hi,
Hi, how
good.
are you?
Thanks. We just reviewed your awesome sale that went so well and smoothly
Were you
that
like
you
on for a bit? Because I've been sitting waiting and watching for a while, but I didn't see you guys
conversing.
along the top.
Oh,
101,
Yeah,
like
that's so weird. Anyways, which deal?
no, the home.
the one on um, the one on
Oh,
Pinnacle, 20 Pinnacle.
oh, yes, 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 yes,
And
yes,
they're getting their condo today,
yes,
apparently.
Yeah.
yes, they are. They are, thankfully. Yay.
Yes. Yay.
The work
Um,
begins.
oh my gosh. So inflation came in. You guys saw that, right?
Yes.
3.4 as expected. That's not statistically significantly
Sorry.
different from what they thought. So it's probably going to hold on Jan 24th, just like we chatted. What was it, like a month ago? We said probably mid-year, right? That we have changes on that. But I have the other update, so I'll get to it. What did you want to talk about today?
I wanted to talk about how I think that it's an amazing time for buyers to jump on board. Actually, take some
Hmm.
paper. Okay, we don't do this anymore, but and sign your name to it because and call SG and make sure do that first actually. Then take some paper, sign
Yes.
your name to it and submit those
Offers.
offers,
Yes. You can't get anything unless you
right?
try. Yes.
We were told yesterday that
Hmm.
variable rate is going to stay higher than
Hmm.
the fixed. The fixed rate will be coming down faster. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yes, it's anomaly stage where the variable rate's like over 1.2%
Right.
higher. And those who have aggressive expectations of its demise. So I think National Bank was it thought that it's going to go 1.5% down this year, whereas No, National thought 0.5, and then CIBC said like 2%. So basically, somewhere between 0.5% and 2% is how much, and 1.5 is how much it should go down this year. So in the meantime, the variable is much, much higher. And unless you are on the aggressive side of that, why would you take why would you take a 6.4 when you can get a 5.3 fixed?
Right.
Which is actually like, take note of that. Last time we chatted, it was like five, what was it? Sam, 5.8. Do you remember last time
Oh,
that
well,
was only 4 weeks ago, and it's gone down 1.2% on the fixed side. So people are okay. Can I just like spill the beans, please?
Yeah.
Okay.
of course. What are you here for?
Okay,
What?
I am strongly in support of a huge spring high increase in valuation because, yes, you can tell me about demand. And what I'll tell you about is that the rates, it's confusing in the news. They're down. They're down 1.2%. People can afford more. The rates are going down, and I can price it down. So with our lenders, if I give them 5.3 and it goes down to 5.1, I can just toggle it 2 seconds and and they don't even have to re-sign sometimes and get the lower rate. So the rate is a stimulant right now, and it's going to further heighten the prices in the spring. And by the time it hits the news, and you're telling your clients this well in advance, um,
Why
by the
do
time it
you
hits the
think I
news,
asked you to come
yeah,
on?
it's going to be too late. So if people want a good
Now,
price, it's now because it's
it's
about
so
to go
now.
high fast.
I agree. And also like some of the, well-known, well-respected financial people who with outlooks like Benjamin
Yes.
Tal, everybody's saying that these rates are going to come down. Now, how quickly, we don't know for sure, but there is no doubt that if you are considering selling your home, get it ready now. And if you are ready to buy now.
That's right.
That's really what
Because
it is.
if you buy now and then your place goes up in value, then that's like the pretty picture, right?
But never, never, never
Hope or expect that.
try.
Okay.
Yeah, I always say, like Cheryl and I always say, like buy and sell in the same market, and you're good.
Yeah.
Because there's lots of people who are going to be like, well, Sam, that's great that you're telling the buyers to buy now, but I have to sell. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, but if you have to buy,
Yes.
then get on board
Okay.
because you're going to buy and sell in the same market. I
And
mean,
it's a
look,
liquid
easy,
market,
but don't ever, I always just warn people, don't try to play the market that way.
like
It's too
stocks.
risky.
Yeah.
Too risky.
Well, there's like the war could like affect things. Like things could happen. So you never know. We have to just look at the metrics on the table right now. And the point to take away is like the rates are already down on the fixed side. You can get 5%, 4.99 on a 5-year fix. Like and remember the 25-year average is 5.6, 5.7. So we are now below the 25-year average. COVID and in all its aftermath, it's all over.
Another
It's
another
normal.
thing that was brought to my attention was that they said that how the builders sort of stopped about last year, like in the last 6 months or so, maybe, how these builders weren't really like taking money and starting things. They kind of
Mm,
paused, basically. They pressed pause, and
mhm.
when the builders decide to start going at it
Yes.
again, it's because of a sweet spot of this is what I was told. I don't know the truth behind it exactly, but it was a professional that they said 6%. Once the rates get to 6%,
Mm.
that's the sweet spot for builders. So anything
Hmm.
lower than that, the building's just gonna keep going more and more and more.
I like
Which
that.
and so when I say build, I'm saying new build, right? Um, so the new build is what sort of starts the dominoes effects
Hmm.
into our market.
You're right. That's a leading indicator that you would follow very closely. That makes sense. I feel like we're dealing in commodities here for sure because just like with oil prices, at a certain price it's profitable in Canada. At a certain price it's profitable for the builders. Must have to do with their covenants as well with their lending. Very interesting. But you want to know how far away we are from that 6%? I mean, I'm assuming they mean the variable rate, by the way, because the fixed is already near 5, right?
Right.
So let's just make the assumption that that rule of thumb is supposed to be for the variable. and we're at about 6.5, 6.4. If it's insured, you can get like 6.2, but I would say on average we're about zero point 0.4 away from that threshold, which could happen over a week. So yeah, again, another trigger to be ready, right? It's January. As Cheryl and I are saying, we are treading carefully as we go outside, but that doesn't mean that financially we're back to work. We can get all our ducks in a row so that you can pull the trigger. What did you say? Have paper ready? I love that. Yes. Wait, are you still
Yeah.
working on those? See, the thing about you is that you have the in on all these things that are all the movements, all the luxury properties are coming and going, the stuff that's not listed. What's happening with Broker Bay and all is instead of that, what are the exclusives? Like, what's the story on all that now?
Cheryl, do you want to answer or?
Okay, what it is basically that there's new rules now that Tressa has come out with. And what it is with exclusives, if somebody wants to do an exclusive, we have to explain to them that they have to go on MLS within 3 days. If they say, no, I want to, and we explain to them all the benefits of MLS, because Trev really wants everybody to be out on the MLS system. So if there is an exclusive and the person says, I only want to keep it exclusive, we do have restrictions. We put out any information on social media about it.
So it's basically they're making it so that exclusive is not as attractive, because in all fairness, the benefit of the MLS is the obvious, the numbers and all that. But also, you, I just lost my train of thought.
Well, you're saying that they're trying to convince people to go on MLS. They're
Yeah.
saying that there are more advantages to go public,
Yeah.
basically.
Oh, sorry. I know what I was going to say is that for our statistic purposes and for our like pricing, I love pricing houses. Like pricing is like my thing. And if all these exclusives are happening, I don't have that data, right? So then, but one person might, like one of the buyers might, because they found out about something, from their friends, brothers, this, that, and they're using that. And I'm like, well, I didn't really have that information to tell my client, right? Because it wasn't on the MLS when I was doing comparative market analysis.
Okay. So
So,
you
and you
can
don't
take
have
a agglomerate data, but if something
reference.
sells, you can tell
I
the
mean,
price
look,
it went for.
yeah, but look,
Okay.
it's the same thing. Like I'm working towards preparing an offer. Like it's been a while, but um, and I know that the last sale, the
Yeah.
buyer was an agent, and they gave up their commission. Now, my buyer is like, yeah, but the number's this. I'm like, yeah, but I know it was an agent. So if I know
Ah,
then do you
yes.
not think that the selling agent found out that, because they for sure called and said, hey, most recent sale, it's a condo in a building, so it's like,
Mm-hmm.
what's the most recent sale? They're going to find out what the story was with that offer,
Very
and they're going
true.
to find that out. So look, at the end of the day, I'm looking for my buyer, so I'm not trying to up it on him. I'm just trying to educate him and make him aware so that when they come back and say, whoa, your number's really low.
Low.
And,
Yeah.
at least I had that inside information because I also phoned the agent and
Yeah.
found out.
And why would anyone say it? Anything? If they say anything anyway, it's not appropriate, right? Like it's for a reason that it was less.
Yeah, but that's also part of all these different rules of sharing information and everything and representation and
Okay.
the whole other, like, it's more than one IG Live, basically.
Oh my gosh, I will get there. I need to understand it fully as well, working
Yeah.
with you. So I will endeavor to make sure I fully understand those nuances. And what about, is it useful that I can like look up, when I'm doing the lending, that I can look up like all the previous owners and the more like all the stuff on a property when it's sold, like it's all
The
available,
history.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can do that case by case too. It's just your agglomerate data is going to be affected by, but it always has been with like the
Right.
private transactions anyway.
I think also, when we do it versus like the general public can do it, but they don't know the stories behind it. And
Okay.
that's where our longevity in the business and our relationships in the business
Mm,
share those stories. Plus, we know what's going on in a neighborhood. Now, look, don't get me wrong. Whoever that seller is, for
mm-hmm.
example, they know
Of
what's going
course.
on in their neighborhood. Sometimes
Yeah.
they know before we know because they all talk. It depends on the type of neighborhood. But we also know the demographics, like who's going in there. Also, we know what their style of negotiation is. There's like so many variables
Yes.
that make up for that one thing that you're looking at, a sold price. And you got to know the stories. I mean, it's no different than like, I mean, if you were going to the doctor, you need history, you need information. They make you fill out a whole entire form before they even start with what are you worried about
Oh,
today?
interesting. Cheryl, I remember you would, sorry, do you want to go first? But basically, I remember you were checking whenever you're interested in an area or have any clients in that area, you're basically checking every morning and sending all relevant data. So it actually does come from you because you're like on top of it, I noticed for you too. But what were you going to say?
I was going to ask you, many people filling out the applications, but are the applications coming to fruition? Meaning, are they going out and buying, or are they just
Are you writing deals?
So Oh, that's interesting. I've been asked that a lot today, in like specifically today, which is interesting. I would say it's steady. It hasn't. It should be busier. It should be the buyers should be like, come on, let's go. There's a steady preparation stream going that's usual for January, but it should be double this. So no, people are not closing, not succeeding in acquiring properties this week. It's a little bit disappointing.
do you think that it's because
Snowstorm?
waiting to see where the rates are going to, are they waiting for, I don't know what.
Cheryl, I think you might have a point there. People are like, I don't know how to announce this loudly enough. Like, now, now's your, you don't have to. I mean, people do what they were going to do. We're not going to like change people's way of living or ways of going about things. But if you could just, if you are intending on transacting, buying or selling, just right now, just get ready, please,
You're
if
going
you
to be in,
can, because
they're going to be
yeah.
in a lot of competition. It's all going to happen. It's all like, it's like before everybody was so worried that they might miss out on the property. That's coming back.
Mhm,
That's the important thing to note.
mhm.
You guys, right now, if you buy now, you're most likely not in competition. Now, there are some holding back offers going much lower. Yes, absolutely. But generally speaking, your numbers of
Mhm.
competition are much, much lower.
Can you, do you have like a cache of delisted properties? Obviously, there's a bunch of people also wanting to wait till March to list, so they get the best price. So what if the buyers, you have a handful of the buyers and they're ready because they've listened and they are primed. Can you find those listings? Can you find the ones that are about to come up?
We can't, sometimes we
In
know
our
there.
office, yes, for sure. Because that's part of these new rules, right? So you can't market publicly. That's really the bottom line.
Oh no.
So, if you have a signed agreement, it has to go to MLS within 72 hours if you want to if you want to market it publicly. So that's a big issue and that's challenging. Like we can't even do an email blast to our database based on that. We can't do an email blast to all the agents that we know. We actually have to physically pick up the phone one by one and call the
Wow, it's
people.
like, where is it, like
And
Australia or something?
let me tell you something. Most of them don't answer their phone. And we can't ask them to email blast it. Even to the like we can't tell one person and then go, oh, by the way, you can just share it with your office. No, we're not allowed. No. So
The issue. That's too bad.
What they're doing really is saying, because they had so many complaints at that they the real estate board that they really implemented all these new rules, and there were lawsuits going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was really it. Too many complaints. They couldn't deal with it, so they tried to get it better. So,
But my privacy. But
you know,
anyway.
it's everything else. It's an adjustment, and there's luckily at Harvey Callis, they are training us well.
Very much so.
They got
You guys
We're
are
very,
good.
very lucky, like that they are giving us the information constantly, like almost every day there's something. So
Amazing.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we're very educated. I mean, I can't say that we're flawless in this yet because there are a lot of changes. But we do have the people, if we don't know the answer, to double check with 100%, like literally at our fingertips.
So from
So they're
the
close all the
lending,
way.
the general things to keep in mind is that people can qualify for 8 to 12% more. And remember a lot, and it used to be that it was like every 100,000 you borrow was like 600 a month. So the key things for your agents to know would be like 580 a month is the going payment per 100,000 now. The other basics. Oh, interesting. Do you want to talk about parallel sizing or downsizing for like 2 seconds? Because there's
100.
something that your clientele, and you know what? No, this is not going to be your clients. You're going to get to you're going to turn every pebble to find out their options. But I have encountered situations where people are not moving soon enough because they think that they have to sell first or they're illiquid, they're
Right.
stuck. But there's so many ways to leverage temporarily and at an advantage. Like if you put a home equity line on your existing property and then you buy a place. Great. Okay, so you're holding one and you're waiting for the next, and maybe you have or haven't sold your previous one. If you
Okay.
have net worth, you could actually buy both in many cases with, yes, a monthly expenditure, but you would plan for it. So you can bridge using home equity lines and using, like, for example, there's a Manulife and Scotia combination, which is very powerful. If the borrowing is only like between like 2 and 4 million, it doesn't, you can't really do much above that usually. But there are ways for your clients to transition before selling and getting that money.
It's an interesting option to keep in mind. However, the one thing that I think I would be inclined to sort of add to that is that if your client is reasonably priced, I mean, if they're really holding out for a number that's way higher than the market's willing to bear, then I think that it's risky because they could sit on the market for quite a while. And then it's no big deal to do it like maybe 6 months, even max, but more than that, I think it's a long time. If they're really not listening to what the agent tells them the price, the value is today. It just is what it is. But they have to just remember that they're going to buy in that market too. So
That's a really good thought. To do it very closely with with your expert advice, because that is a key factor. I did have 2 cases where it took 2 years for the prior one to sell. So yes.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yep. So let's maybe be on a better note than a 2 year sale.
3 months, just
Yeah,
bridging,
very
just a little bit of
exciting.
bridge.
Um,
Get the floors done.
But when do you anticipate them releasing another?
The government, are you talking, or who
Yeah,
is they?
I don't know.
Oh, for the
I'm
variables
not up
discounts?
on the next sort of
Or
timing.
what
Or maybe it hasn't even been announced yet.
the rate
Well,
will
it's
be?
not going down now because it's kind of a slightly higher
March.
inflation. So I think it's, yeah, March. March
March.
is what people are
Yeah.
saying. It totally, anything could skew that. I'd say there's our metric coming, the metrics for the last quarter, the 3.4. It's almost sure that they're not going to January 24th. So let's see March. Yeah. Let's touch base
Okay.
then.
Well, yeah, we will probably touch base before that. That's for sure.
Oh, for sure.
But yes, but we will definitely in March. We will probably be right back here on this channel as we are every Tuesday at 1 p.m. This is actually our first one of 2024 because
Oh,
we started
happy
a little late this year.
to
We had to
health,
get some ducks in a row.
safety.
Yeah, lots of things going on. So, yes, but so I'm very much so looking forward to. Actually, it's not our first one, Mom. Did we not do it last week?
I feel like there
No,
was
one
something,
of
but it
the
wasn't this.
Okay, I'm mixing it up. I don't know. We've had a few Zooms, so maybe that's what I'm mixing it up with.
Yeah, actually, there's been a lot. You've learned all the new things, all the things I'm trying to learn from you about your new procedures and your self-representation or something. Like I've just, as I said, I'm endeavoring to get into that with you. Um,
You know what?
Anything else you need from me? We should do more seminars, maybe for specific audiences too.
Yeah,
If anyone has any things they want to learn, I mean, these things we think, oh yeah, we know so much about it, but there are many clients who'd like to hear an update from us. So if anyone would like to tell you what they'd like to hear, we're here. We'll make sure they know
absolutely.
they're experts in this very important, business. When they're going into to conduct these offers and all these things, it's very important that they know absolutely everything. And maybe part of it they'll be bored, but I promise to make sure that it's fun because I love it and that they know what they need to know. I just need them to know the basics of what they're doing when bidding. So I'm on the buy side. I'm going to help, and I will advise anyone ask me questions. Don't hesitate, even if it doesn't need any. Like it doesn't have. It's not always about doing a mortgage. It's about preparing and giving advice and being strategic. And you are always on top of it, and you are always connecting people. So thank you, both of
Thank
you. Um,
you.
and we'll
As
do
I
this many
say,
times.
our trusted mortgage
Thank
specialist.
you. Oh
Done.
yeah, I won the award. So did you. Congrats to us.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Top for many, many years and more to come, hopefully.
Steve,
Mhm.
we email you the trust information, and you'll be able to read about that. It'll help you understand
Okay.
where.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Have a beautiful day, and we will see you all next
Be
week.
careful how you walk out
Yes,
there.
you too.
Good conclusion.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.